This is not a driving iron. This is not a hybrid. This is a Ping crossover. So I've got a 4 crossover. We're going to do some tests, run it against my hybrid to show you who can game these, who can't, what's the idea behind them, who it might suit, those kind of ideas in the comment section down below. Have you ever gamed a long iron replacement thing, like whatever we're calling this, crossover for Ping, or are you a hybrid player? So Ping have sent me this iron to review. They've asked for no input into the video. They just want my opinion on it. I'm going to share that with you. And once I finish with this club, we will be sending it back to Ping. So what we're getting in the crossover before we look at the tech, we are getting a lovely slender top line, bit of the club out of the back, certainly in the toe, which you'd expect because of the thickness of the sole, bit of offset, and we're getting a sleek black looking finish with this little plug at the end, which I'm sure is going to be counterbalancing or weighting to help with game improvement ideas, which we will look at as we go. We get the normal tuning port from Ping. This allows them to bend. Looks very nice here. So it's chunky, but it's not. Like, I quite like it. How does it feel? Nice, makes a decent sound. It's not quiet by any means. It makes a good old smash off the face. Oh, it's a good carry. We'll look at the numbers of what it produces. Like I say, we will compare it to my hybrid as well. And then we're going to run it on some tests on some simulated courses to see, you know, what are the benefits of the launches and spins that this does create. But in all intents and purposes, this is now maybe kind of like your 5 iron, 4 iron, 3 iron club, depending on how you play them. Caught that slightly out of the toe and it's done pretty good. I mean, obviously with these kind of clubs, what I miss is you don't get any roll and bulge that you get in a hybrid, which I like. So when you do start dotting around the face, which lots of us do as the club gets longer, the help just isn't quite there as much, arguably, as a hybrid, but it's going to be little amounts that. Over a season, you might notice that. What we are getting is a fantastic looking long iron in the dark finish and the thinner top lines. Again, slightly toey, but doing fine. I don't actually know how to, yeah, a bit toey. Not bad at all. Like, could I hit target with this? Yes, I absolutely think I could. Could I game this on the course? Yes, I do think I could, but I think my hybrid for me is going to win most times, which we'll show you at the end, and that might just be my kind of bias towards what I prefer than actual delivered fact, which we'll show. I'm going to hit one more, and then we're going to go look at the tech. Oh, that's a skinny one. That's a horrible shot. That's a crossover to the rubbish kind of strike shot. Let's go and see what Ping are saying they've done for the new crossover. I'm going to keep collecting data and we'll come back and we'll see what my numbers do. And then we'll compare it up to the hybrid and take it to the simulated course. So the Ping G425 Crossover has tungsten weighting. It has external tungsten toe and hosel weights, expanding to perimeter, which is increasing the MOI of this club. Miraging steel face that we've seen in other clubs, a thinner miraging steel face and internal geometry delivers ball speeds to hit high flying shots and softly landing shots, so we'll test that. And then gapping efficiency, engineering to bring golfers gap filling long iron type performance through distance and green finding forgiveness. So they're really trying to offer more options in the long iron rather than just running to the hybrid. Optional stock shafts in there, and also we've got the smart grips Arcos that we find in all the Ping gear, so you can collect your stats as you go to see if this club really is helping you or not. All right, just hitting 2 more with my hybrid, just to give you a comparison of the numbers. And then there's the toey draw, which the hybrid, you wouldn't get that so much with the crossover. So you win and you lose, really, subject to how many times you hit that shot. And that was a little bit of a toe, but it's worked. It started a bit further right, a little bit of turn. That's where the rolling ball did help. That shot, I feel, with the iron would have just stayed out to the right. Let's just show you the numbers between the two, and then we'll take them to the course and see in situation which one gives us more options. So delivering the same dynamic loft on these two clubs, 19, a fraction more speed with the hybrid, and it is a fraction longer in the length of the shaft. So matching the dynamic loft, I'm not trying to match everything else. What I'm doing is matching the club to where it would sit in my bag. So I'm matching it to me in a gaming environment, you know, and that's what's important, I think, with this club. It's about getting the loft style of club that fits into your bag at the right slot. It might be a 4, might be a 3, might be a 2, might be a 5 wood. You see what I mean? This isn't about, like drivers, when you test them, really you want them to go straight and far, don't you? You're at the end, it's like you're maxing out. So which driver goes furthest? This isn't about which one goes furthest, it's about what shots you can do with them almost. So you can see the crossover's just spinning a fraction more. A little bit lower spinning with the hybrid, and I'd expect that I can get it higher up on the face and it likes it up there, and in turn I reckon I can get a fraction more carry out of my hybrid, but just a fraction. Look how tight the ping was compared to my hybrid, which is not on, that's a small data set. I wouldn't see that as a pattern on the course, but obviously if it kept coming through on tests, it's something I would look for if it was something I could change to. So we're going to start on the 4th driving hole here at Pebble Beach. This bunker is going to be a problem for me. So what I'm going to be doing is really trying to thread it between the bunker and look how it cuts in and the water. So if you look at the map here, you know, I can just sneak over it if I whack it, but there's a good chance I'm going to be in it. It's landing around 215 and we are 25 foot up for elevation. So I wouldn't use this strategy to play this hole because I would just whack it up there as far as I could. I wouldn't want to thread it through that bunker and the water. But just for argument's sake, we're using it as a driving iron, which Ping said it isn't, but like it is. I'm going to try and hit a tee shot and drive with it. So out of the hybrid and the crossover, should we do best of 3? Which one's going to work the best for me? Which one can I thread and get up there as far as possible? That's a threader there. So you can see it's landing literally middle of that bunker and I thread it through there. So that's an absolute winner there for the crossover. And these are definitely the questions you should be asking yourself when you're getting fit. And unfortunately, fitting is still so much about just smashing drivers into nets a little bit too much. You know, this is fitting the club to the player, and in an individual club, that's where fitting needs to go. It's just subject to the margins everyone makes, which is why it doesn't, unfortunately. Right, let's see if the hybrid can compete then. Yeah, so that's equally as thready with the hybrid. I would call that a draw. They're landing almost the same distance. That one's just the right side of the line and everyone's left, like they're the same. 1-1. Should we go hybrid again to start? See if one sneaks ahead. Tried to give that a bit more, and again I'm threading that. This is my game all over, or used to be, and it might still be, but I was a threader, like I'm a born threader. And then the same with the crossover. Bit toey, and again, look at it, it's like relentless, isn't it? Let's call that a draw. Ain't it anymore up there, even I'm bored of that. Like from the tee, I'm going to see very little difference from them from a controlled environment, level ground, ball on a little tee if I wanted it, or the perfect lie. Yeah, and I'm just running it up a fairway, trying to hit a left and right dispersion. I don't see the crossover or the hybrid having any benefits or gains for me. Over time, the roll and bulge of the hybrid might just save me. But like I said earlier, you'd have to do the maths on that. It probably hurts you as well as it saves you, so it evens itself out. That's a good solid club. Whacking it off the tee. Right, we're now 215 yards on the 18th. Now this green is pitched from right to left, almost front to back and right to left. So I am going to struggle, absolutely struggle, to stop this on this green from this. You can see the white line is where we're coming from here. Pin front right as well. So this is now where I would question this being in my bag, where from the tee I wouldn't. So let's just hit one. So it's 215 and 1 elevation foot. It's nothing, so it's 215k. So I'm just going to hit one to kick us off. So this is not a fair test. I would call this more a test with the crossover, because I don't know what to do with it, where I already know what to do with that, because it's my club and I game it. And so I've hit that straight. Oh, that's straight at it. Sit down. So look at the land angle and how that's running on. I mean, that's a pretty good shot for me. I'm going to, like that, just stop ball. I'm going to struggle to hit a better pitching shot than that, apart from miss-hitting it a bit and dropping it short, which would be really risky. So now what I'm going to try and do with this club is I'm going to now try and stop it. So I'm going to manufacture, because I don't want to go to the back of the green. I want to make an eagle. I want to be closer, because the person I'm playing with is 40 yards past me and they're only going to have a 6-iron in and they will be able to stop it. You see what I mean? So now I'm being asked questions. So I've gone for the high cut with a bit more speed. I maybe overcut it. Oh, that's a pretty good effort. Now I'm going to keep that one there, because that was, apart from that being 2 yards further left, that was kind of as good as it can be. So knowing that this one went a little bit further, what I'm going to do with this then is try and do the same. I'm going to manufacture. And I finned that, unfortunately, so we won't get comparison data, but we'll have a look. Just catch the bunker. So, I mean, out of the two misses, that one's winning, because that's a much easier bunker shot than the other, but that was a worse shot. So the crossover was 38 to 36. It was higher. I cut it up higher and it launched higher. It spun less, so this spun more, but that's not going to save you. The difference in those two spins, it's this peak height is going to save me. And descent angle actually was almost the same with both clubs. So arguably this one would stop a fraction quicker possibly. And now this is what I'm trading in. So if I can do the shot I just did, but do it with a bit more cut and a bit more height and a better strike. So like, that's not hitting the green, but that shot on line is going to be close. And if we look at the numbers of that, so we're 4-6 spin and we're now peaking height at 39, so it's peaking height higher, and it was 48.7 descent angle compared to 46.5. So more spin and considerably more descent angle. So can I get, it's going to delete those two there, and can we, so this is the crossover and that is my best effort really as a floating hybrid. The question is, can I get the crossover to perform as well as the hybrid? My heart feels like it can't, my visuals feel like it can't, which is where I'm going to go hybrid all day long. But heart and visuals aren't as good as measured data. So they're pretty equivalent shots. Again, it's a really good effort with a ping. If I aim that more left, that's good. But I don't feel I can get that distance and any more high on that. So yeah, it's 2 yards lower. It's spinning 500 less, launching a degree less, and I can't get the descent angle quite into 47. So it's small, it's close. Off the tee, if you're someone who just wants to drill a long iron up there and get some roll, yeah, absolutely. If you're someone who's going to be drilling irons into greens and like running up on the fringe, this is just a really good looking club. But if you're someone like me who wants to do that, but at the same time I need to be able to hit 215, something that stops, because I know, so Matt's hitting 215, he could probably hit a 6 iron if he really went at one. You know, I've got to compete with that land angle. So the question is, will a crossover, I've really tried to cut that high. Now, I know I'm missing right every time, but is that reaching? Yeah, that would. Here we go, start it in the water. So the other thing that's happening, look how extreme I'm having to get with this to try and make it work. Like, I would never have the confidence to start that there. And again, look, I'm just, as soon as I try to increase that, so the lift with this club, for me and for many golfers, I just think, well, it's a too big a ask. You know, the hybrid, I think, is a much smaller ask. Look at that. I mean, that, get up. I just get that cutting properly and that's going to land and have a better chance of stopping. What's always interesting when I do these tests is actually how close the data is and how much the bigger head compared to the small head is playing into my imagination of what I can and can't do. It's actually very small, but it's kind of differences over time that you might start to see. That's before we start moving into the rough and those kind of things. Crossover, I think it's a great iron. It's as good as anything out there. It looks good, feels good, sounds good. Numbers are true. I think it looks as good as anything if you're this style of player. The questions you need to be asking yourself is, does this do enough for you in different situations? Or does it, like it on this, it's the situation for me here on the 18th at Pebble Beach, does it just ask too many questions? Unfortunately for my speeds, it does. Doesn't stop me wanting to like the look of it though. Like, be funky to be able to stop then Stenson style on the green when it looks good.